We're good.
All right, welcome everyone. Today is the 28th of October, and I will call to order the Madison Common Council Executive Committee meeting. Staff, please call the roll.
President Vitiver?
Here.
Vice President Govindarajan?
Here.
Alder Ugair? Here. Alder Madison?
Here.
Alder Matthews? Alder Lankella?
Here.
Alder Tischler?
Here.
Alder Figueroa Cole?
Here.
Alder Matthews?
Here, sorry.
And I didn't read back all the names, but for the folks on the Zoom and the recording, all members are present. You have quorum.
Excellent, thank you. All right, the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the last Common Council Executive Committee meeting. Actually, we don't have that on this one, do we? We do have it. All right, sorry. The special meeting on the 7th. Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes from the October 7th meeting. Vice President Govindarajan, can I get a motion on the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes.
There's a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Is there any objection to recording a unanimous vote in approval of the minutes? Seeing none, we will record a unanimous vote. All right. Do we have any public comment? We do not. Fantastic. Do we have any disclosures or recusals? Seeing none. The first item up on our agenda then, now of course I've lost it, is item 2, Legistar 90214, amending various sections of the Madison General Ordinances to correct inconsistencies and improper references in the Madison General Ordinances constituting a 2025 City Attorney Reviser's Ordinance. Can I get a motion on this, Vice President?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And then I will turn it, oh, you can't second. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay, we have a second from Alder Lankella. And I will turn this over to the City Attorney.
Thank you. This is one in our series of revisers ordinances, which we bring to the council periodically to correct errors in the ordinances that are clerical or things that cite the wrong statute, if there's been an updated statute. And the ordinances authorize our office to create these, to draft these ordinances and bring them to you. As you see in the drafter's ordinance, drafter's analysis, most of these are just grammatical errors, correcting the spelling of a word. The two I guess I would point out that are kind of most significant is the middle section there. You can see sections in Chapter 28, the zoning code, are being repealed because they had been moved to Chapter 21 previously. Just had, at the time, we did not repeal them from Chapter 28. That takes up most of actually the text. And then also of note is the last one, which was the, it's called the Habitually Intoxicated Persons Ordinance. And that ordinance actually said that it sunset in 2015. So it has not been in effect for 10 years. It just was not taken off the books. And so we're just getting that cleaned up. So that's all really this ordinance does. If you have any questions, I can try to answer. But it's more just basically, as I said, to correct things that are grammatical or technical in nature.
Thank you. Are there questions for staff? Seeing none, is there any discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection to recording unanimous approval in favor of this item? Seeing none, we'll record a unanimous vote in favor of this item. And we will move on to item 3, Legistar 88483. So this one, we have a substitute that is going to be a second substitute. Okay, this current substitute in Legistar amending section 2.03 of the Madison General Ordinances related to alder vacancies to add detail to the application process and information to be submitted by applicants to fill vacancies on the Common Council. So I'm just asking for process help here, since I know that we have a second substitute. Do we have to move the original substitute?
Move the second sub.
Move this,
Yeah, Vice President Govindarajan will want to move the second sub.
okay. Vice President Govindarajan, would you like to?
Motion to adopt second substitute. Also, can folks please speak into the microphone? Thank you.
That's probably me. Okay. Did everyone receive the text of the second substitute at least in your email? Okay, great. Is there a second for the motion? Okay, Alder Uyghur will second. Thank you. All right, Alder Govindarajan, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, thank you. First of all, can everyone somewhat hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. I'm at the O'Hare Airport, so just wanted to check. You would have received an email yesterday, but the language is also in Legistar. This is the second substitute, which has been amended from the discussion the last time we spoke about this ordinance. Major changes here from last time are I have removed the requirement for the social media to be included in the applications. I believe Alder Uyghur and Tischler had some concerns that they validly brought up last time, which made a lot of sense. So that has been removed and no longer be required. Another requirement, sorry, just finding it here real quick. The other removal was that CCEC had to hold the meeting in person at the district of where the vacancy occurs. That was never supposed to be in the draft last time anyway, so that's just been clarified and removed at this time. And the final change is changing the language, saying that the application materials have to be uploaded onto the legislative information website to now saying it has to be uploaded onto the Common Council webpage. This happened after discussion with the Common Council Chief of Staff to allow some flexibility in when the agenda comes out. If it had been just the legislative information website, which is Legistar, then the CCEC agenda would have to come out 1 or 2 days early, which adds more work time for staff. But now, since the language just says the Common Council webpage, it allows staff to put out the application materials on our City Council website instead of just Legistar. But I'm sure it can also be on Legistar later as well. So those are the major changes from last time. But overall, this substitute ordinance still it lays out a little bit of a better timeline process for filling the alder vacancy when it occurs. And I also uploaded onto Legistar through staff an example of what would happen if there was a hypothetical resignation or vacancy if one was to occur today. So that's attached onto Legistar. All of you should be able to see that. But I can also read that out loud if anyone needs that as well. That's all. Thank you.
Just to note, the Legistar link is not currently working.
That's great. Thanks.
Par for the course. All right, questions for staff? We do have our clerk here. Okay, hold on. You care?
This would be a question for Attorney Haas. Are there any consequences if the dates that are specified here are not met?
It's a good question, Alder. I think the answer is no. I think these are what we would call directory, what the courts would call directory ordinances, which means it directs staff to do things in a certain time period, but there are no consequences spelled out in the ordinance for failure to, in other words, failure to meet those deadlines. In other words, it would not affect the legitimacy of an appointment.
Okay.
If the timelines were not strictly adhered to.
So a disappointed applicant could not take issue
Right.
because a date was missed
Right.
for whatever reason.
I think it would be up to the, council to decide if, if the timeline was not followed exactly, if that was important enough to, extend the deadlines or things like that. But Yeah, I don't think there would be a legal basis for challenging it based on that.
So we don't need any of the kind of, I'll refer to them as weasel words that are reasonable best effort or something. There are really no consequences here that we need to worry about.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Alder Figueroa Cole.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what else was added to Legistar since I cannot open that file. What else was added? I mean, I had the file that was sent to via email. What else are we talking
I think
about?
he said he put a time, like a sample timeline of what would happen, but go ahead, MGR, or excuse me, Alder Govinda. I'm sorry.
It's a short enough file, so if that's okay, I can just read it out loud. So the thing I added to Legistar was essentially what would happen if a resignation or generally a vacancy was to occur today. So let's say hypothetically after this meeting, I resign, I quit, whatever. Under the existing ordinance, on October 28th, today, the vacancy would occur and the council president would start receiving notices from the vacant Alder district. So if there's a developer that needs something or a alcohol license that is necessary in my district, the president starts receiving that. And then the next step would be the president decides when to open the applications. The president then decides when to close applications after they're open. And then the president decides when to release application materials to members of CCEC, who can then begin reviewing the application materials. And then at whatever point, whenever the CCEC agenda comes out, that is when the application materials are available to the public as a whole. Then the next CCEC meeting is December 9th, which is when we would meet to vote on the applicant to fill the hypothetical District 8 vacancy. Upon that confirmation at council, that's when the interim alder would be sworn in and everything. They would not receive any information about what decisions the council president would have made during that vacancy for their district. So if someone is filling my hypothetical vacancy, they would not know that the council president gave notice to a developer or an alcohol license or whatever it is. Under the proposed second substitute, if a vacancy was to occur today, same thing, vacancy occurs and the president starts receiving the notices from the district. However, it would then specify that within 10 business days, so it would then be November 12th, the council office has to publicize notice of the vacancy and instructions for the applicants. So essentially the application's open by November 12th. So if the vacancy happens today, the applications could go live tomorrow as well, but it just says it has to happen by 10 days, business days. After that, the applications have to remain open for at least 10 business days. So on or after November 6th is when the application period closes. Now, since this is facilitated by the president, they could still choose that application can stay open for 15 days instead of 10 days, but it has to be open for at least 10 days. So on or after November 6th, the application period closes and the application materials are released to CCEC members at the same time or as soon as possible by staff, who then the members are able to review the application materials. And then so 5 business days before the next CCEC meeting, by December 2nd is when the council office publicly puts up all of the application materials to the Common Council webpage, whether that's our website or Legistar. That's whatever is easiest for staff, and that'll be properly noticed. And then at the December 9th CCEC meeting is when we vote to fill the vacancy. And upon that confirmation, the president will no longer receive notices from the district, and council staff will provide the interim alder with a list of decisions made by the president during the vacancy. So that's just the timeline that is attached to Legistar and kind of specifies in an easier format what changes are actually being made with the second substitute. Thank you.
So Alder Govindarajan, the intent is to clarify processes, put stricter limits on it rather than making everything sort of at the president's discretion. Is that?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
The only thing that does not necessarily have to do with discretion is removing subparagraph 7 at the very bottom, which I don't have in front of me, but that we discussed last time as well, is if if there's a vacancy that occurs during campaigning season, then the council is directed to look for former alders or former supervisors who live in that district. So we are removing that requirement, which, for example, if I was to resign during campaign period, there is no former alder or former supervisor who lives in my district. And that might be the case for other districts as well, but for sure, that's very rarely ever the case in District 8. So that's not a clarification, but just something being removed because that is addressed already in the existing timeline of, I believe, subparagraph 4.
Alder Figueroa Cole, did you have additional questions?
So, just so I'm clear, so this process can take up to 20 days to get,
I think max.
right, so, and I thought that before these changes, we had some sort of timeline, attorney has, because I thought we're supposed to fill a vacancy after so many days, I thought, or is that, we're just trying to move through the process faster? I'm a little bit confused.
Well, I'm trying to get the ordinance on my screen again. I mean, the state statutes allow a lot of flexibility for how vacancies are filled, either by special election or by appointment. So we're not constrained by the statutes in any way. There was a specific section that this ordinance would remove related to the timing of certain vacancies.
I thought there was something in it, but I don't see it here, so maybe I'm mistaken, but we had done quite a few of this, and I don't think it took that long to get things moving. I thought we were on a pretty tight time frame to get things rolling.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think in the past, sometimes we've had to deal with just getting things scheduled, CC meetings scheduled and notices posted, things like that. But there aren't any statutory requirements for
I
it.
wasn't looking for a statute. I thought that the ordinance had a time frame to move things along, or,
Not under the current ordinance.
okay.
I don't know if there was a operating procedure, standard operating procedure developed. No? Oh, it was discretion of the president. So again, that's the intent here, is to remove that discretion and make it so that it's actually codified.
So
Yeah, I
20
think
days doesn't seem like a lot of time, though?
Does what seem like a long time?
20, I think her concern is a 10-day period to have it posted and a 10-day period to have it, that up to 10 days can be before it's announced and 10 days of the posting to allow the applications to come in.
Yeah, that's completely up to the council, what you think takes too long and too short. I've seen councils fill a vacancy within a week. Some take 2 months. I think in my experience, part of the delays were always simply the president getting together, maybe with the chief of staff and our office, just to talk through what the process is going to be. I think the advantage of something like this is then the process is in place. We don't have to create that new every time there's a vacancy.
Thank you.
But I mean, the timelines could certainly be shortened if the council wants to. It's just a matter of, if you're going to publish them, how much time are you going to give people to see it and respond?
Alder Govindarajan, did you want to respond?
Yes, thank you. I want to clarify, this is not necessarily removing the president's discretion entirely. It's more so just adding guidelines. So it's not that it takes 10 days to put out the application. It's that it takes up to 10 days to put out the application. So if the council office already has the application form, everything created from a previous vacancy, then all they have to do is maybe theoretically update the dates and anything else that the executive committee might ask the council staff to do, and then put it out at their earliest convenience whenever it's possible. However, they have to do it before 10 days. There's no consequence if they wait after 10 days, that being said. So that's step one, I guess. And then step two is the applications can be open for however long, like an indefinite amount of period, really, but it has to stay open for at least 10 days. So it's not removing that discretion of the president. The president will likely still communicate with the council staff and the chief of staff to decide exactly how long the applications shall remain open, but it has to be open for at least 10 days, 10 business days. So I want to encourage folks to think of it as not removing discretion, but just adding some guardrails and guidelines instead. I also do want to give the opportunity potentially for Karen. I do have this question. Do you think this is a plausible timeline for the council office to abide by? Obviously, we've had lots of discussion about this, but this might be a good opportunity for you to talk about this publicly.
Yes, so, am I up? Okay. I do think, I would argue, I would ask to not shorten it to less than 10 days on the number three, where it says within 10 business days, because we have had situations where folks have resigned, for example, around the holidays, so the December holidays, which does make it tough. I know it says 10 business days, so that does help. This to me is workable. It's in my opinion, my professional opinion, I want to see this filled as briskly as reasonable and feasible, because the inbox, the emails are collecting. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. The work doesn't stop just because someone resigns. And so it's in my position that it's in the office's best interest to get it moving. So I would do everything I could to make sure that this would be moved as soon as we could get it out. And if it's less than 10 days, even better. I think that this also makes it so that a president can't hold it back too long for some reason. I could imagine somebody might come up with some reason to do that, some political reason or some other reason. And this just makes that not possible. In terms of holding it says remains open for not less than 10 business days, I do think it's worth that, because we need to get the word out to folks about the position and give folks a chance to get their materials together, think about these things. And I would also encourage it to not be open for too very long, but I do think it's worth it to get a nice, robust pool if possible. So it would be my intention to open it as soon as possible after the vacancy gets done, certainly not any longer than 10 days. And then hopefully the president would, consider a 10-day open period where we push out the information, try to really encourage folks to apply. And we're planning on putting work rules or SOPs together so that we have a playbook or whatever, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is kind of what's been happening, or at least had happened in the past.
And Alder Govindarajan, the original intent was to have signatures required, and that is all out of this substitute. I just want to clarify that.
Correct. There is no additional work by the clerk's office here.
Excellent.
I'm
All
sure
right.
the clerk's office would thank you for that, Alder.
Are there other questions? Oh, Alder Lankella, go ahead.
Just a quick question, Karen. Based on the history, what was the last one hire? How long did it take from the notice you received to the applicants? Do you have the last one?
I really can't remember. We didn't have one in 2024. So it's been now a couple of years, but we'd have to go back and count things up. But
Yeah.
we are not, it's not worth it it's not worth sitting on it. It really isn't. We just need to.
Yeah. Just wondering about the number of days here. Is this too high or too low? Because it's about
like I
a
said-
month now, right? We are talking about a month for having the applications in now.
Up to.
Up to a month, yeah.
Like I said, it would be my intention to move things out the door to get that posted immediately. You could literally do it the same day if we had our business together. And sometimes folks signal informally before they resign, which then gives us a little time to do that preparation, but if we have something in place, like this is asking me to basically bring something to CCEC for you all to, wordsmith and say, okay, this is the process, we should be able to put it up within, if not the same day, then pretty darn quick. So I don't see a problem with it at all. I do think the 10 business days for posting, I really do, because the word doesn't always get out. We know it's really exciting and immediate for all of us, right? But I think for it to kind of get out in the community, to get the media attention, it can take a little time. And also here it does say that CCEC can reopen the application process if they would like to seek additional applicants, and hopefully we don't have to do that. Hopefully we just do it for the 2 weeks. Hopefully we get a lot of exciting applications and we just keep moving through the process. So I think this is doable.
Okay. I was just wondering about, are we helping ourselves by putting those dates or not is the question, right? So sometimes people will procrastinate when you know the deadline on it, right? So it just makes it, we got 10 days, not worry about it yet. This week I can't, 2 weeks, let's do it in next week, right? So is that helps, or is actually, if we don't have a timeline, then let's go ahead and, right? So just food for thought.
Alder Govindarajan.
Thank you. Just more clarifications, I guess. I want to clarify, it's not opening the application period for 1 month. It's just that the next CCEC meeting after today is December 9th. That just happens to be how the schedule is. In theory, if there's a vacancy that happens today and the council office has all of the materials to put out the application tomorrow, then that application, and the goal is to fill it as soon as possible, then the application goes out tomorrow, stays open for at least 10 business days, and then closes then, and then the executive committee can make a decision at their next meeting. If next session, the executive council goes back to meeting every time the common council meets, then we would be able to fill a vacancy even sooner, or we could call for a special session, or just like we did last month. So I know the timeline that I provided on Legistar shows that the vacancy would occur for a little over a month, but that's just more so because of the schedule of when CCEC meets rather than anything that has to do with the ordinances. I also want to clarify that this ordinance isn't adding any of the dates. The dates exist whether we know it or not, but the problem is unless we clarify it in ordinance, we don't know what the dates are. As the ordinances currently exist, we will not decide what the dates are until the president decides it when a vacancy occurs. This ordinance will just give some level of predictability into how long the process might take and when the dates might be. I guess that's maybe one way to put it. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Uger.
I can answer Alder Langella's question since I was the last person who was selected by that method. And I was just looking at my files. I became aware of the vacancy on December 15th of 2023. I filed my application on December 26th, the day after Christmas, and I was sworn in on January 23rd of 2024. So fairly compact process if you think about the whole thing.
Any other questions for staff? Any discussion? Let's see, Alder Govindarajan, go ahead.
Question for Karen, if you remember. Although we knew about the former District 19 Alder's resignation incoming, the vacancy didn't occur until January. Is that correct? So the actual period of filling that vacancy was much shorter than what Alder Uger just pointed. You might not remember.
I'd have to double check, but Alder.
January 10th.
Is, he's not, sorry.
Hold on.
January 10th was the date that Alder Slack officially finished her time on the council.
But when did we put out the post? Because I think there was some you saw the ad earlier than January 10th.
Looking at my emails from the period, I was clearly aware of the vacancy on December 15th, but that was because with the holidays and everything, I think it was Alder Slack's thought
Yeah.
to make an early announcement,
Yeah.
but to recognizing how many emails accumulate and how fast they do, that she wouldn't officially resign until my recollection was January 10th.
I think that's right. I think there was a discussion. Just like you said, as opposed to resigning immediately over the holidays, we had some advanced planning. So I'm not sure how that figures into all this, but
I think it would just allow the council office to prepare ahead of time and not take up the full up to 10 business days as necessary to put out the application. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any discussion, additional discussion, because we've been sort of free-flowing here. All right. Is there any opposition to recording a unanimous vote in favor of the second substitute? Seeing none, we'll record a unanimous vote in favor of the second substitute. Okay. We will move on. Item 4. I think it is a substitute, adopting the updated elected and appointed official code of conduct. And so the one that you're supposed to look at is the very bottom one in the list, right? Updated elected and appointed official code of conduct substitute 102325. All right, so that's the one we're talking about. Okay, Alder Govindarajan, may I get a motion on this?
Actually, to adopt substitutes from 102325.
Is there a second? Second from Alder Lankella? Okay, and questions for staff? Okay. I think there's someone.
It's a committee meeting.
Oh, so this is what I'm supposed to be at, is that the flyer?
It's a common council executive committee meeting.
What do y'all,
It's a city medicine committee.
okay, so, let me see if this is the right spot, just give me a second, okay?
Does either Alder Tischler or Alder Govindarajan want to speak to the item first? Alder Tischler, you want to speak?
Yeah, that's. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted. Yeah, I had the same thought. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody who has reviewed the kind of the revised code of conduct. This is an alternate. This is based on kind of input from the 12 boards, commissions, committees, provided and incorporated their feedback. This provided additional, guidance. This the one it's in front of you. Additional guidance towards conduct towards the media, members of the public, and also towards city staff. It also expands the existing complaint reporting and investigative process to cover all elected and appointed official code of conduct complaints, not just sexual harassment complaints. It also adds, that it requires 2 sponsors for the censor of an alder and describes the process of how BCCs can censor one of its own members. And like I said, it went through 12 referred to 12 different commissions, boards, and committees, and I think that process has really helped kind of fine-tune what we have in front of you. And I want to thank everybody who was involved in the process. I think we have a really good document that incorporates a lot of people's voices, and I hope you will approve it. So.
Other questions for staff or discussion? I'm going to go free-flowing here. Yeah, Attorney Haas has stepped out of the room. Alder Govindarajan, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. This was a very collaborative process over the last several months. From Chief of Staff Karen and the council staff and all the various boards and commissions that provided feedback. Once we got it onto the executive council meeting last meeting, and it was in the public realm, it was a little bit more easier to get feedback from several more alders and incorporate that. And I know Alder Tischler played a pivotal role in that too, so thank you for that. I don't have much more to say about that. Just want to say my thanks. Thank you.
And I'll just add that I think the other thing that it does is it clarifies the process for the complaints. So it really makes it crystal clear who those complaints go to and the process that it goes to. So I do think that it is helpful in putting that in place as well. Alder Uyghur.
I see that Director Hilson is here, and I was just thought I would ask the director if there's a general comfort level of this, if there's been an adequate equity review, that we don't see any particular unintended consequences from the way this has been drafted.
Yeah, so I did have an opportunity to review it along with City Attorney Haas. And I think we were comfortable with it. I will just note that we are currently in the process of really reviewing our 3-5 policy on harassment and discrimination, developing some more descriptive and thorough policies around sort of how some of those investigations take place. We don't anticipate that to be completed this year, but anticipate it to be completed next year, and may request some modifications after we've completed that process. But for now, I think we feel really comfortable with it.
Thank you.
Attorney Haas, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I agree. I think we reviewed this. I think it looks to be in good shape.
Alder Figueroa Cole.
Thank you. I had to say, I had a lot of concerns about some of the language used on the original form, so I'm grateful that we're really having a code that is not really policing each other at such a bias level with some of the wording that was used before. So I appreciate that those considerations were taken into account when this change was made. I do want a clarification in regards to the censoring process. Is this agreeing to have a second? I like that the censoring process is defined, but is it really needed? What is the impact of claiming 2 members need to be added for a censorship? And I gather in a situation like that, I'm sure it will be easy to have more than one person want to be bringing a censor resolution. But is this code the law, for example, in this case? Does it force us to do that?
Well, that's an excellent question. I raised the same question, and I don't think I ever got a response, because I don't think this as a policy can require that you have 2 sponsors unless we change an ordinance. Because a censure resolution would be a resolution like any other resolution. And we would unless this is meant to be a sponsor and a second is 2 members, I think that's something that should be clarified, and I'm not sure that what the sponsor's intent was with that.
So again, so as someone that I don't have a vote today because I'm just the alternate, I will ask my colleagues to consider removing the word where it talks about sponsored by at least 2 members. Leave the narrative explaining what a censor process is, but just remove the requirement to have 2 members. And I'll be more than happy to support this in council on the next one, if that was the case. But I really appreciate the work on being extremely careful about making this a policy that is used as a weapon against each other, which it was not the intent. And so thank you for the work on that. So like that.
would a non-alternate member of the body like to make a motion for a minor amendment to this? Alder Lankella.
I'll make the motion to alternate, to remove the requirement for 2 sponsors.
And is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. Alder Madison and Alder Tischler both, so I don't know. Alder Madison, I think, was quicker. Alder Tischler, go ahead.
Oh, I just pressed that just a second. But
Okay, sorry, I thought you had, because you had clocked in before that.
I was anticipating I was going to second it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Alder Madison, do you wish to speak?
No.
Okay, you were just seconding. Okay. All right. So then what we're voting on is the updated version. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off any additional discussion. Is there any additional discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. And what we're voting on is the updated version in which, under censure process, the second part of the sentence is struck. So we'll just read, any alder may draft and introduce a censure resolution regarding a code of conduct violation on the Common Council agenda. And then adoption of a censure for a code of conduct violation requires a majority vote of the Common Council. Everybody's clear on what we're voting on? Fantastic. I'm not sensing a lot of opposition, so is there any concern about recording a unanimous vote in favor of this? Seeing none, we'll record a unanimous vote in favor. And then I believe that we are moving on to council office. There's a question on the dais.
Like, we added the amendment, do we have to do that?
Oh, do I have to vote twice?
Do we now have to?
Do I have to vote on the underlying?
Was that just on the amendment? Yeah. If that was.
I think the way that I posed
You
the vote
posed it. I think
was
it
that
was-
we were voting for the amended version.
That was my understanding too, which
So-
I think is fine because
So I think I
it's
messed
really
up.
a kind of a friendly
trivial?
amendment.
Yeah.
We're
So,
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Just
Okay.
wanted to make sure.
But I mean, that is how I posed the vote.
Yeah,
So-
that's,
Okay, just wanted to make sure for the.
I was just being efficient.
you were, excellent.
All right. Then we'll move on to item 5, Legislature 88520, council office updates. Take it away, Karen.
Thank you. Okay, I sent this out to everyone. I will share for the folks on Zoom, hopefully. A couple of things. I want everyone to remember to sign up for some trainings that are being offered for you. October 30th, a CRACE training. Most of you have replied to that. I appreciate that. Those of you who are within the sound of my voice and can attend, please respond to the invitation that you have in your Outlook on your district inbox. Even more so, I would like folks to RSVP to the Equity and Social Justice Division training on November 4th. That one, we do have fewer folks have RSVP'd for that. And it's going to be, I think, quite educational. It covers a lot of information about the division, the team, the work of the different sort of folks and units within the team, as well as familiarity with the tools and some practice. And so please, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead, and if you have not yet sent your RSVP, please do. Those are both in person. And then I just have some, for the new folks, the November 11th budget session starts at 5:30. I know that that's a little out of the norm, so I wanted to just flag that for the new folks, to remind folks. Then there's some other things. Now, starting every December 1st, you will all be reminded that everyone who's up for, every district that's up for reelection, the 50-piece rule will go into effect for you until you file your non-candidacy papers. So that, you're all, I presume you all are running for reelection. Right now it's the evens. I presume until you file your non-candidacy papers, no matter what you say that you're running, until you're formally not running. That's how I like to do it, because folks do change their minds a bit before they decide what papers they'd like to file. If you'd like, so our community engagement strategist and Attorney Haas put together this very, very helpful, very detailed guide to the 50-piece rule and other campaign restrictions, facts, and FAQs. Please peruse that. It's, I think, quite informative. Reach out to me if you have questions. Of course, I'll consult with Attorney Haas. We also have a resolution that helps explain what can be sent, what 50 or more pieces can be sent out in certain circumstances, which I linked as well. So please, 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 if you already think you're familiar, please read it anyway, because we've added a ton of information and a lot of different, like, well, what about this example? Well, what about that? And we've also added some guidelines for consideration. So for example, while an alder can still have an event during this period, we have some guiding questions that we strongly encourage any alder who wants to have an event between, who's running for reelection, wants to have an event between December 1st and the April election, would like you to go through that process very sincerely, because I think that there's a campaign season it gets a little bit sticky, and we want to make sure that you are clearly separating your alder business from your campaign business, which becomes a bit of a challenge during campaign season. So please, please take a look at that. We will be sending reminders, and of course, we'll be here to help you work through any interesting nuance that you give us. There's always something. Y'all are very innovative. All right. I just wanted to tell you something logistically. So some of you may be aware that we have 3 dedicated spots in the CCB, the basement of this building, for council members and staff to park. And some of you who've been here a minute know that we've had trouble keeping those spots open and available. Folks, unauthorized people parking in there, unauthorized staff of other departments. Oh. And so the county has, we've tried everything, traffic cones, bright pink signs, calling the county to go find out who that person is in there. And what the county has done us a favor, or, has been, helpful in putting up there are new big signs. This is a picture of the new big signs on the wall for each space. And this has been going really, really well, I have to say, the small yellow card. So if any one of you alders parks down there or wants to park down there and has not yet picked up a yellow card, please, I do have them tonight, and also you can just let me know and I can put one in your mailbox. I think this is so helpful, because when I pull in, I use it too, so you can see who, I can check to see if this is a car that I need to go track down or if it's all good. And I've used it multiple, there's a car in there that has been doing a wonderful job with the card. So thank you to whoever you are, because it saves me a lot of time. And I know that this is an authorized user.
Can I take a look at that?
Yeah, no, you're not, no. Attorney Haas is he almost got me there for a second, trying to get a card. These are valuable, yes, and really, also after 4:30, you can park down there in any spot, is what I've been told. If I hear differently, I'll let you know after 4:30, after things have closed. But that may be informal, and maybe somebody will correct me now that I said that on the record. And I think after 6, is it that the meters allow you to park on the street? And then, of course, folks alders have Wilson Street garage, which I don't have, so enjoy that. That is, if you just want to park without hassle, that's a great place, because you don't have to play Thunderdome for spots. But if you would like to, be parking right in the building, certainly you can give it a shot. So Thank you all. I'm very excited. Let's hope that this works. And then I just provided this again. I'm going to keep, it's going to show up on all my summaries forever probably, which is a little bit of reminders that when you're doing your blogs, to start thinking about accessibility, and I give you a couple of tasks that you can start getting practice with now. Alt text descriptions for any images, writing out information from the flyers into the text of your blogs, and avoiding all caps. So, and there's a link to some resources. So thank you all very much for all your help.
Any questions for Karen? Seeing none, we will move on to item 6, 88519, future agenda item requests. I do not believe that we've had any additional ones added. And is there any additional requests for future agenda items? Maybe we'll get to some next time. Depending on what our agendas look like. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. All those, I assume unopposed, barring anyone saying that you want to sit here and talk. So we will stand adjourned. Thank you.